Hi, everybody. I don't know how many people are live yet. I'm very excited today about my guest, Bubbly Bhasin, and I'm just waiting for her to come on. So the minute she's on, we'll go live. Waiting for Bubbly to join me on this chat. Hi, Natasha. Thank you for tuning in. Just taking a couple of seconds, as it always does, for a video to start. So I've sent an invite to Bubbly to join me, and please bear with us because we're doing this transcontinental chat. I'm sitting in Africa, in Nigeria. Bubbly is in Singapore. So let's hope we can get through this without any glitches. Thank you, Natasha. Thank you so much. I just thought this was something I wanted to do for parents and for children, so I'm really happy if it's being appreciated. Okay, taking some time for Bubbly to come on. Just waiting for her to join in. And the minute she's on, we'll start. Okay. I see somebody else is also on. Hi, Meera. Thank you for tuning in. I'm waiting for Bubbly to come on and then we can start our chat. I have already sent her an invite. And the minute she is on, we shall start. Thank you, says Manju. Looking lovely, I mean, says Manju. Thank you. Okay, I see Bubbly and I have approved. So she should be there soon. Hi.
Hi, Geetika. How are you?
I'm good. Welcome to this very lovely chat today that I'm so happy to be doing with you.
Oh, thank you. I am equally excited.
So we already have a few viewers on, so I think let's just start.
Sorry, I just have to. Okay, I'm
Sure,
good to
sure,
go
sure,
now.
sure.
Yeah, good.
Okay, so
Carry
welcome
on.
everybody. Welcome to this fresh episode of Let's Raise Good Kids. And today I'm very happy and very honored to have a very special person on this chat, Bubbly Bhasin. Bubbly is the founder and CEO of Sameza, which is a brand of basmati rice, which is not just any ordinary basmati rice. It is a transformational rice because it really does have very positive benefits on your health. And we will, of course, talk about this later as well, about the big accolades that the brand has got. But I will hand over to you, Bubbly, to tell us a little bit about Sameza, how it started, the name, just a bit.
So Sameza started about 4 years ago. This is when Pankaj was going through cancer.
Okay.
Seeing how things were, going to the wards every day, getting the chemos done, it puts you in a very different mindset.
Right.
Makes you ask yourself a lot of questions whether this is something that your kids will get on, and does it have to be this way or not. Sameza came on more as an introductory product, which was actually only for the royal families. So
Okay.
we have been exclusively producing this product. Uh, uh, Even in India, it is not available. And this was designed for the royal families. And so we decided to bring it to Singapore. And then one thing led after the other. And it is through the comments of people that we realized that it was very transformational, especially when we were giving it to the cancer patients. So one
Okay.
thing led to another, and today it is disrupting the rice world.
Fantastic. And it has a very sweet story behind the name. So tell us that as well.
Yeah, so it's like everything is in-house right from the start of it, and then it was about deciding on the names. So we went on it for about a month trying to learn how names, going through Google, understanding how names should be formed, and then we came up with Sameza, which is the three girls, Sana is means hope. Meher means gratitude, and
Yes,
Naweza is actually a Swahili sentence that means I can do it. So that was really nice because we
fantastic.
said I think it incorporates everything that we want
All
to
the
do.
brand
And
values also. Yes.
yes, so we were excited. I said, दो alphabets हैं, so लड़ाई नहीं होगी घर पे. And it was
So
different. It was us, so we went for it.
wonderful. So it's basically a truncated version of the names of your three daughters.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. So
So it's
Bubbly,
nice
tell
we
us.
didn't have a fourth one. Otherwise, it would have been messed up.
You would have to add some element to it.
then we'd be in hell.
Okay, Bubbly, let's rewind a little bit because you weren't always an entrepreneur. You weren't always working. You were a wife and a homemaker and a mother, like
Yeah.
so many other people. So
Yeah.
let's go a little bit back. Let us get to know your husband, Pankaj, a little bit. How did you meet? Tell us a little about your early years, with him and the children and when you moved to Singapore.
So we actually did not meet. This is when I was studying at NIFT, and
In
the
Delhi.
parents in Delhi, and they introduced each other, and I was to go to a friend's house to meet the parents. So as soon as I went in, my mom says me, "Acha, Babli, aaj na you behave yourself." So then I said, "Ye to kuch gadbad hai," because she's never said it. So then, anyways, we went, met the parents, and I was not in the frame of mind to get married. So I said, "Chal, theek hai, khana khuna kha ke aa jayenge, masti karke aa jayenge," and I came back. Then he actually called me, and because it's not on your mind. So he called me and he said, "This is Pankaj from Hong Kong." I was like, "I don't even know Pankaj. I don't even know Hong Kong." So he's like, I mean, that's where it got started. So I told him, I said, "Listen, I'm not interested in getting married yet." So he said, "Oh, that's very good. Me neither." So then he says, "Well, we're on the call anyways, so might as well talk." So I said, "Okay." So he says, "Tell me about you." I said, "I'm the Sardarni, and I'm not your typical girly girls. So, I'm pretty independent, and I don't think a lot of Indian men
Men.
will, it'll go long. I mean, I just need something different." So I think it hit his ego, and I didn't realize. And he said, "No, no, I'm like that also." So, bus one thing led to another. Nana karte, we got married. But
Wonderful.
we never saw each other for the longest time. So it was very funny because I don't
You
think
were
I would
only
have
on the
done it
phones.
ever. We were
Yeah.
just talking for hours on the phone, and we would talk about anything and everything. And that was really nice because it just gave me an inner view without seeing his face. So
Right.
then when we met, I said, "I think ab milna chahiye." But by the time I met, I said, "Isme kuch hai hi nahi that I have anything to say no to." So I said,
Okay.
"Yeah, let's go ahead." So bas that was it. We were very, very good friends. But what I liked in the relationship was he was very forward thinking, extremely open minded. He was 100 times of me. So that was lovely. We had no hang ups. And actually, jab bache ho gaye, the first one came, Sana. And when the in-laws left and the parents left, then I said, "Pankaj, ab shadi ho gayi hai, ab yehi hai." So it was a really nice relationship.
Okay, and then when did you move to Singapore, and when did you have the kids, and what you weren't working at all then, you weren't involved in his
I
business
was
also.
never working. Actually, he kept telling me to get onto fashion. But I'm the kind of person, once I get in, then I don't see कि बच्चा रो रहा है या ये. I'm a very
You get
involved
involved
person.
100%. Yeah.
So then I knew what it takes to be in this industry. And it's very important that whatever business you do, you are hands on. You can't do it
Yes.
from being away. You have to be there every day. So
Right.
that was not something that I was keen on because I was clear that it's very important for the children to have parents around, at least for some time, because it builds a lot of stability and a lot of confidence in them.
Right.
So I mean, I just decided this, and I think I was having fun in my marriage. I was enjoying myself as a homemaker. So
Right.
while I did get comments that, "Bubbly, you're sacrificing your life," actually I never looked at it that way because that's
Right.
exactly what I wanted to do. you know. So I said, this is what I want to do as a homemaker. There's so many duties involved, so might as well support and help him for what he's doing while I do this part of the job. So it was never sacrificial or anything.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the
So
kids came.
yes, of course. And then you are busy with
Mhm.
the with the three kids and everything.
With
So
the three kids.
so tell us a little bit, Bubbly. When did Pankaj get detected with cancer, and what was that process like? I'm sure it was difficult. Were the kids very very young? You know, did they know what was going on, and how did you
You
face
know,
it?
what happened, Gitika, is that in 2014, Naweza was born.
That's your
And
youngest.
that's the youngest one. And as
Yeah.
soon as, after 3, 4 months, my father-in-law was diagnosed. So in
Okay.
India, they had given up because he was about 75 and they were not willing to take on the case. So we
Okay.
got him to Singapore.
Okay.
So the entire my mom-in-law and father-in-law moved over here, and he was in ICU for almost 3, 4 months. So we were
Okay.
going through a lot of back and forth, and since he was not a PR, of course it was like a visitor.
Right.
So the bills were
Yes, I can imagine.
much
Yeah.
much more than we had
Yeah.
ever expected. So
Right.
when he got okay, Pankaj went to drop him off. And
Right.
just a few days before that is when he was catching a lump. So we went to the doctor and he says, okay, let me just go and drop my dad off and come back. It was while he was there, I mean, it was just the weekend that he was there, that he said, I'm not able to breathe.
Okay.
So the doctor said that, he said, call the doctor. I said, all right. So when we called the doctor is when we found out, actually, I found out by myself first that it said that he has this cancer which is called acute lymphoblastic leukemia. It was an extremely aggressive cancer. So then he came back here and we got the treatment done. But we decided to keep the family at bay because one, we had already seen that happen, and we just figured that I don't think anybody was in the frame of mind to make sure that we could work on it as the way we wanted, because it was not a time to get very emotional.
Okay.
It needed to be worked on. So it was just me, Pankaj, and my helper and the kids that went through the whole ordeal, and I'm glad we did, because what I saw, it's not just the patients, it's the entire family, and
Yes.
it's a terrible disease. It's
Yes.
really scary.
And tell me, your kids must have been very young then. How did you explain to them? And they must have been days when, when Pankaj was back from chemo and must have been terribly fatigued. And I mean, it must have been difficult with the kids.
Actually, it was difficult for because the day he found out, actually he came back home, and the he didn't say anything. He only just said one thing. He said, "Babli, always give me good food." So I was saying, Pankaj, at this time, all you can think about is food. Like और कुछ नहीं आ रहा. He says, "नहीं, Babli." He says, "Well, जब when things are good, and you come back home to a good meal, you feel like a king. But when you come back home during a bad day to a good meal, it gives you hope for tomorrow." So he says, I want hope and I want you to fight with me. And he just told me one thing. He said, light up your lion, bubbly. It's showtime. And I mean, we just went on it. We didn't tell the kids. Of course, he burst out crying and the kids were
Yeah.
asking, but we
Yeah.
did not know what to say because he was so, I mean, Naweza was just a year old. Meher was 3. Sana was, I mean, yeah, Meher was, I mean, there was not too much of a difference. What do you tell them? And then when he would be exercising, one day Sana saw his medications and she says, Papa, what is it? So that's when he told them, because he said he wanted to tell them. So bus, that was it. We just said that ye hai so hai, and we just got to fight it out. And we left it at that because I mean, there was no point in getting freaked out. Otherwise, it
Yes.
would have not worked.
So
So
this was from 2014 till 2017. That was
that
3 years.
was
It must have gone into
2015.
remission and come back again. I
It
mean,
got
that
into
was.
remission. So it started off in 2015, actually, just a day after his birthday. And then by the end of December, he was getting better. It came back again in 2016, October. And, it's an intelligent cancer. So you have to keep changing the medications, and so that the cells, it's the intelligent one, so the cells don't know what is coming. But apparently the doctors would tell that this is, he's getting nuclear bombed, and to see him, that he was, you could look at him and you can never tell that he's got cancer, and he was going to work, and he was keeping himself, I mean, he was living a normal life, but there were days
That's
when he was really
amazing.
down.
Yeah, I'm
He
sure.
had massive, massive strength to get through this. I mean, this and then we had the second time it came back, so they realized that it was, probably in in the bone marrow. So from there, they decided that we have to get a stem cell, and that was the last option. So, I mean, the whole doing, that was the way forward. So 2017, we were planning to get the stem cells. It was the beginning of the year. And that's when, I was putting the kids to sleep, and Pankaj came up. He just gone through his nth chemo, and he came up screaming, bubble, bubble. I said, Kya hua? And he was just red in the face. And he says, your father's passed away.
Yeah,
I
I
was
know.
like, okay. I didn't, I mean, after so much, I was like, what the hell? And then I could not leave him. So my mother-in-law immediately came, and I left to go do the cremations. And that's the time that I was gathering the families, buds, going
For
around
the
for
stem
three
cell. Yeah.
days for the stem cells, gathering that up because we needed to get that tested. So, I mean, there was so much happening all at the same time. It was not a matter of, there was no time to get emotional
Yeah, but
because
losing your
it was
father
so
so
intense.
unexpectedly was also really terrible, and in the same year.
It was very, very. I mean, it just started off. The year started off like
That's
that,
with that. Yeah.
and I mean, Gitika, I was just, I didn't know what to say. So I was walking, and I told him, I said, Pankaj, I've lost my wing, one wing. I hope you don't go, And I mean, you're so stoned with everything that is going on.
Yeah.
Ki, I mean, what do I say?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so then
Yeah.
let's talk about August, and then then when Pankaj passed away. I mean, at some level, of course, you're constantly hoping, and you're really sort of going against hope that the treatment is going to work. But unfortunately, with an aggressive sort of cancer, obviously in your head you know that that's
I mean,
there.
we had a 50-50 chance. That's it.
But yeah.
Yeah.
So then when he actually did pass away in August, I don't know. I mean, how was it with the kids? How did you manage? What were the first few weeks and months like? How did you deal?
So
I mean, they
what?
must have had so many
So
questions.
Geetika, what happened is that it's funny. You can be prepared for so many things in life, but when you hit a curveball, it just takes you somewhere that you can't even. That, I mean, that's not planned for. Like he used to
Yes.
say, that everyone has a plan until they get hit, and the night was very difficult. That's the first time that I was scared, and I asked my friend to come along with me. कि आज तू आजा मेरे साथ. So we went there. I mean, सब कुछ हो गया, and my biggest fear was, what do I tell the kids?
Kids. Yeah.
How do you say it?
Yeah.
And I think that's what my biggest thing was, because the kids were coming to the hospital, and I didn't know what to say, and I was trying to. I didn't want to give them the generic because I said that's not going to help.
Yeah.
So I told them, I said, Papa's been really good. So he's got a special certificate where you cannot see him, but he's right here. So that God has given him. So I think that was kind of like, okay. And then he went and, of course, the kids went and met him.
Yeah.
Meher barely went in and came out. The children don't, I mean, it's, you don't know what to say. You just, I mean, Naweza was just 3 years old, and she kept telling everybody to
Yeah.
keep quiet, thinking he's
He's
sleeping,
sleeping. Yeah.
you know. So that day coming back home was very difficult. It's like a replay that just goes back again and again, and you can remember the details. And I
Very
remember
tough.
that night, I took a sleeping pill. I said, I need it, and I
Yeah.
was just gone. But that first week with the cremations and all, that was करना है तो करना
Yeah,
है.
you're just going through the motions
You're
without
just
even
going
you're
through.
robotic almost.
So, I mean, I was literally holding two kids in one godi each with Sana in my hand and doing
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And what happens is, actually what I realized, there was a lot of family that was wanting to be supportive, but they did not realize that the children don't need anybody but their mama right now.
At that
you
time.
know they don't want to hear that we are here for you. They don't want to hear anything, because what happened with the kids was, actually they get fearful, where they say, mama, if you die, then who's going to take care of us?
I think
And that
that's a
was,
fear that a lot of people have said when one parent has gone, that the
yeah.
kids immediately latch on to the other parent and worry that the same thing will happen
Yeah,
to
I
them.
mean, my kids would not want to be anywhere around but me.
Except you.
And
Yeah.
I seriously, I also feared that अगर मैं चली गई तो क्या होगा?
Yeah,
Because
absolutely. Very valid fear.
everything was changing so fast. My life just changed. People changed, relationships changed, सब कुछ बदल गया. Which left me very lost कि ये क्या हुआ? I mean, what is happening? And Naweza, actually, she just kept quiet for 2 years. She didn't say a word. I was really scared because I thought, is she gone mute? Is
From
she
3 to 5,
deaf?
my God, that's
Yeah.
tough.
She didn't say anything. All she would say is only Papa. So I
She
would go
just
to the doctors
internalized the whole
quietly.
loss.
Yeah, and I hear people would say, no, she's so small, in 2-3 mahine ye bhul jayegi. But people have no idea of what really happens.
And
You
each
know,
child processes it differently.
I mean, exactly. She just kept thinking, जैसे और सारे घर से जाते हैं और वापस आते हैं, that's the same thing, but it's not. And she would leave space in the bed for him. I mean, that was really difficult because I was just like, ये सब कुछ हो रहा है, and like ये
Yeah.
बच्चा भी अब is it that? So I would go to the doctors and you say, if she can hear you, she's not dumb and deaf. But
Yes.
2 years was a very long time,
And
and
it's so tough for you because at one level you're dealing with the reality of it, and then you can't even sort of, you can't bust that child's little
you
hope
can't.
that she's holding on to or whatever. So you have to, be part of a
Exactly.
make believe world, yet you have two other kids. I mean, it must have been very, very tough. And when
It
did they
was
go back to
hell.
school, and
So
how did they slowly
they,
normalize?
it took a very long time, and I don't think we've normalized as yet either. Um, School was there. I was very happy with the school they were in because, I mean, for 1 year, I didn't care if their grades didn't come.
Yeah,
you know
obviously, yes.
the school was extremely supportive, and they said, probably you don't even have to bother to come for any parent teacher meeting, just leave the school part with us. So that
That's
was
fantastic.
very, very
Yeah.
helpful, and I really didn't feel that it is the time to pressurize them for
Yes.
padhai and all that. I said, they were confused because their friends found out that, although they were trying to be empathetic as well, but how the child sees it as that, what if she asks me a question? What am I going to say? I don't know what to say,
Yeah.
because they really don't. Seeing other parents, other fathers being there, there's a lot. Children just keep quiet,
Yes. So
and
what sort of were they asking you these questions, or were you just you could notice it? Like what were the what were the fears and stuff, or was there any acting out behavior in terms of wanting
there was no
attention?
acting out behavior. There was no asking for attention. I think that way my kids were really, really good. But I could see it in their eyes. And I think as a mother, you can always feel it. Because
Yes,
when they look
absolutely.
at another father with those eyes that are lingering, you know what's going on. But I
Yes,
did not pressurize them or ask them, ki kya soch rahe ho? I just let it be. So
yes.
where I did differently is, there was, I don't know if you remember, I was just, getting creative and imaginative as a parent and saying, I think that let's try that out, because the rest of what everybody was telling me was not carrying me forward. So
Right.
I remember, and I don't know if you remember as well, when we were in grade 5 C1s, we were in the dorms, and one of our friends lost her father. And I remember Mrs. John, our matron, she came and told her, Ki, don't worry, your father comes at night, and every time he sits here through the whole night. So you don't have to worry, I've seen him. And I remember she was pretty confused that ye kya hai? But that was a story I remembered at that time. And I remember our friend, I don't remember her name, but I remember that comforted her, where she would quickly look forward to going to sleep, that Papa's going to come,
How
and that
sweet.
helped her. So I started doing the same thing. So I would say, oh, Papa's saying, where do you want to go in your dreams today? Are you going to go to Japan? What are you going to eat? Just like he was here.
Right,
So they would look forward to getting their contentment at that time.
right,
And I
right,
think one day at a time we worked on it. So
right.
unlike, like, I mean, we didn't like Meher, she wanted to smell him. So she wanted to use his washroom, she wanted to wear his clothes, she wanted to use his perfume, which I let her. you know I didn't I've left everything there because I think they need it.
And
And then
every family grieves differently, and these are
they
things
grieves
that you
differently.
will never know until you actually, go through it. And
You go
I
through
remember
it
when,
yourself.
yeah, when you were telling me, when but we were talking earlier, you mentioned to me
Hmm.
that a friend of Pankaj once told you that it's so sad that your youngest one will never know what a wonderful person her father was. And then you came up
Yes.
with something. So tell us about that.
So that kind of struck me. And I say, while everybody says, it's okay, zindagi mein ho jata hai, move on. I, I actually found them to be to be of no help. So I went to inner in myself, and I started finding those things. So when he told me, I said, yeah, man, I mean, how sad that she's not going to know her father. And that made me come up with solutions where I said, why shouldn't she know her father just because he's not here? I remember. So we would play out, or we would do things around the house. Like he loved listening to music in the night. So we would do that after dinner. We would put the candles and, the music and sit there so that, I mean, she could know that this is what we used to
Yeah,
do
we used to
together,
do
you
together.
know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And what I found is, for Sana and Meher also, it was quite relaxing. It
Therapeutic in a way.
reasserted the idea. It was very therapeutic. So we started doing all those things. It was basically like, he's not here, uh, he's here, but in a
But part
different
of him, yeah,
dimension,
yeah.
but we're part of him. So we carried on doing normal things
The
just
birthday
like
card
he
you
would
sent
have. The
also.
birthday card. So what I would do is, during Christmas, I would have a gift that was from him, and a birthday card which would be something like he would say.
Right.
And they would look forward to that, or their birthdays, or forever, those small small little events, where, or cooking the dishes that he'd like. And I say, Papa used to do this. No, Papa, I used to put a little more of that. So I just started redoing all those sort of things in in little bit exaggeration. It gave
Yes.
them comfort.
And you told me that people told you not to do that because it was, they were saying that children will not come face to face with reality. But I mean,
Yeah.
you knew best what works for your family, and you were
Because,
able to
I
navigate.
just realized that they were not like, in high school. So
Yes,
I needed to deal with them in a very different way.
they were very
And
young.
people would tell me, they have to face reality. And I would say, here the adults are not able to face it, and they're giving us gyan. Dusri baat was that it was okay. It was okay to be imaginative. Why not? I mean, there's no rule or regulation. Ki
Yeah,
aise
you
hi
have to
karna
stick
hai.
with it whichever way works for
you
you.
know so I actually, we just started doing our own thing, and that was very helpful.
Right,
And many a times, like, it just became our new normal,
right.
which was fine. It worked for us.
Right. Okay. Also, Bubbly, I want you to now tell us a little bit about how, of course, emotionally, like you've told us, it takes a long time. You have to see what
It
works for
takes.
you as a parent. Now, they obviously must have been other issues as well. Financial is a big issue that a lot of people have to suddenly come to terms with. But you had told me that Pankaj had almost literally set up Sameza for you, and I mean, who knew what was in his mind or whatever. And then you were just suddenly thrust into now managing
Yeah,
financially, managing the house, the school fee, all of that. How
everything.
was that phase, coping with that, plus the house, plus the kids, and keeping your own sanity, your own emotional sort of balance? What
Gitika, I had everything screw up all at the same time. I'm not kidding.
Yeah,
uh, Pankaj left. uh, we had a very big debt, because all with dad's treatment, that was on my head, which was almost close to about $2 million. You know, My finances were all over, not all over the place. They were, I was tight. So much had happened before, which I needed to carry forward. I had to carry
Yeah.
in terms of his business earlier that I had to manage. Sameza starting off, Sameza was just almost like probably a year old, and it was not like I was schooled on any of that. So it
Right.
was a lot of observation, lot of learning, lot of reading, lot of analysis, seeing what do I want Sameza to be like. So everything was self-learned. And I mean, the greatest thing that I had heard is that, be around people, that your 10 best friends will be crucial in terms of the kind of life you're going to lead. So at that time, what I really needed was I just needed to keep everybody out of my life. It was not about denial. It was about figuring out, okay, how do I manage it? Because I have to manage it. It's
Right.
not going anywhere.
Right.
So that was one thing that I did. And I said, जिसको समझना है समझ लेंगे, नहीं समझना है, well, this is not about them right now.
Right.
Because I
Exactly.
was in an absolute major survival mode,
Yes.
you know.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So that is what I did. Then what I started doing is I realized that I needed to hear the right things that would lead me forward. So
Right.
I would listen to a lot of different mindset um, YouTube
Podcasts or
videos.
whatever. Okay. Videos.
It was mainly YouTube videos with Les Brown and Tony Robbins, John Rowe, those kind of people. Because I said the most important thing right now is for me to make sure my inner is really strong, because I just had everything on my plate. And I did not, people said, why didn't you ask for help? The reason I didn't ask for help is because I knew that nobody could do so much. Nobody would be able to help me out, because there were so many things
That
that to be
needed
taken
your
care of.
and needed
But the
your
best thing that I learned is that was quite a talker. So
okay.
regardless of whether it was a topic that we didn't know, he would always speak about it. So what started happening, Gitika, is that I started recalling all that at the right time.
Okay.
And that's when I said, why don't I do that with the kids too?
So you really
You know,
applied that same sort of
I just
philosophy.
applied the same sort of thing, because I said somewhere it stays. You don't know when it comes, because there were so many times that it would just be like, I'm talking and I know it's almost like Pankaj talking.
So all of that just kept
And
coming to you. Yeah.
oh,
You
that
just
just kept
channel it.
coming. I was not thinking. What I was doing is that I just went into a sponge mode where I said, I'm going to learn whatever it takes in as many various ways, and work on it, because I decided that the only person I should depend on is myself. And why not? If I can see, my brain is working, I can move, then why not? So I just got into a very different mode, and I was always very independent. So I did not want now people come start living with me. Then it would have really hit me कि
Yes.
ये really हो गया है.
Right.
And I did
So
not want that kind of
you
life.
just launched yourself into your work, and that
I
sort of
just
really kept
launched.
you above board mentally as well. And what a great job you've done, because I want to tell whoever's watching that Sameza has won the virtual Shark Tank, right? With Kevin Harrington, you
So
won your brand won it
yeah,
last year.
yeah, we
Yeah.
are
So
the
and
only
the
Singaporean company
to have
to
won
have
that.
ever won the Shark Tank.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and that's a wonderful big prize money. So that's really great. Congratulations on that.
thank you.
And tell me one more thing I wanted to ask you, which is, a lot of people who are watching or who may watch this video later could be friends with someone else who may have gone through something like this. So, as a friend,
Right.
a lot of times you want to help, but you really don't know which is the right way of offering that help. So, what
Hmm.
would you say to somebody, like as a friend, like what should friends really be doing at a time like this? Should they just come and say, listen, let us take the kids out for the day, you be by yourself? I mean, what really helped you in terms of, your
I
own
think I
friends?
think the best way was like when I asked everybody to leave me alone. That's what I needed, you know.
Okay.
So I
And
think
they
for
respected
whatever
that without
friend
feeling
you
bad.
are, yeah. I told them, I said, don't feel bad. It's got nothing. I just got to figure it out. So
Okay.
I think the best thing is when you ask that. Listen, I want to help.
Yeah.
how can I help?
Yeah.
You know, and they will always tell you कि अच्छा ये कर लो और वो कर लो.
Yeah.
So you just go along with that. You know, when you start putting the gyan in कि ऐसे करना चाहिए वैसे करना चाहिए, then you zonk off कि that's
Yeah.
not what I need. So I
Right.
think that would be very helpful, where you ask the person itself कि listen, I want to help you, I know you're there for me, but
Yes.
how can I help? You know,
Right. Okay.
and
So just go
just
out and
follow that.
ask, and then just do what the person is asking for in terms of
Yeah,
help,
huh,
without
huh.
your own sort
Or
of
just, you
judgment and
know,
yeah.
baking a cake and sending it over. You know,
Small
it's those
gestures.
little, little things
Yeah.
that just make them feel that, okay, you know, she, it's not just about my husband. I
Yeah.
also left an impact and she's a friend, you
Yeah.
know. So
Absolutely.
those choti, choti cheezein that would be very helpful.
Yes. So, that brings me to the other thing we were discussing, that socially life changes so much. Like now it's been 3 years. So, it's
Yeah.
not that initial few months or whatever. But you just find that your friend circle reacts differently to you. Very few people are still there for you exactly the way they were. And that is not something you really expect. So,
I
that,
didn't expect that.
yeah.
I did
So,
not expect that. I mean, I expected some changes and all that. But
yes.
you know what I noticed is that I didn't change, but people changed. And it was so quick. And it was so quick. You know, the same friends which we would have lovely long dinners of talking and chatting and dining, suddenly they were just quiet. You know, there was no response, which that was the loneliest thing. That
Yeah. And that really hits you.
also, you know, I mean, you just realize ki what is the perception change? I'm still the same. You've known
Yeah.
me for such a long time.
Yeah.
I'm not. We were always very independent, you know, in terms of thought. So
Yes.
nothing changed.
Yeah.
But then I thought maybe, you know, I mean, it really, I felt lost because I'm confused, because I said, was all those relationships because of Pankaj? It didn't seem like it. Then I thought that, okay, maybe I'm too busy and everybody also else has their own lives. So there was a lot of questioning which never get answered, but it was just so quick that people start, you know, putting you in a very different perspective.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's the first time actually I saw our Indian mindset. And I
Yeah.
said, it's so sad that you
Yeah.
can be so educated and
Yeah.
you can have all these honors, but you
Yes.
still come back down to the same thing.
It's
And which is
very
why.
unfortunate because somehow, the it's just that when there's a single one, and you're not the only one.
Yeah.
I've had this from other people. A lady who was divorced, and she was talking to me once and saying
Yeah.
that suddenly she feels that she is being looked at as a threat by other wives, and the
Yeah.
invitations have reduced.
I
And
just don't
yeah,
understand.
like if she's having a conversation with someone, she can feel that
Yeah.
that the wife is like edgy. It's so
Yeah.
sad. I mean, this was with friends, close friends, and I
Gitika,
remember
we used to have
discussing this with
so
you.
many dinners, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And now the circle has just become women
shrunk.
and
Yeah,
lunches, you know. And the thing is that since, I mean, I'm very tomboyish, I don't see people as male or female. I
gender.
just see them
Yeah,
as people, you know,
yeah,
you're just a person. So to, you know, the discussions are different. I miss the male discussions.
yeah,
There was so much energy and, you know, interesting conversations. All that has gone to zero.
yeah.
So that is why I had to find it for myself. And that's how I started doing it in my own way
Yes,
to keep it happening.
yes,
Because I did
absolutely.
not want, it was just the same, you know, that same girly talk.
Yeah.
And
No, and you
it
need
was
to have. I
just
mean, you
not
need to
me.
interact with everybody. It can't only just be, like I
Exactly.
said, it just can't be the lunches and just
You
that.
can't, it was not satisfying me. And what happened is that you know, if I can give say some time to explain, perhaps it could help somebody, which is not very difficult to do. So what I realized is, I have a visual, but I don't know if I can put it up, on how I dealt with it. And I think it'll be very helpful for anybody. It's not rocket science, is what I realized. Can I share that with you?
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Please, you can show it
Let
on
me
the
just
screen.
see. Let Just tell me if you can see it properly.
Okay.
And just 1 minute, sorry.
You can just turn, yeah, the laptop to face the
Okay.
camera. Yeah.
So, uh, can you see it? Nahi na?
No,
I'm too
you
far
can
out.
explain it to us.
Okay. So this is what was happening. Uh, so imagine yourself like an iceberg, right? Where you can't see it properly. Or let me
No,
just talk
you
it out.
explain it. Yeah.
Okay. So imagine an iceberg. All right. The submerged part is you, and the top half is the world. Now, you don't need to be in the iceberg. You've got to look at yourself out of the iceberg. So, you've got to step back and look at the iceberg where you're seeing the world and everything around, and the submerged part is you. So, there's two modes you get into, which I will talk about later.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of the worldly things, and I think this is applicable for anything because I used it for everything. And in fact, I also used it for the children. So, with all this going on around my world, I started almost doing, chunking it out. So, imagine like having blocks of different heights, doesn't matter. One is the children, another one is your family, another one is your relationship, another one could be your business, it could be your career. It could be yourself, it could be your luggage, it could be, whatever. You chunk out all your problems and then with all these chunks handle them differently. If you put them all in one, you're going to get extremely overwhelmed
Overwhelmed. Yeah.
and you will not know what to do. So
Yes.
in your mind you just start chunking it out. Now with each building, like let's say your children, you start leveling them up. Each child has is a different building,
Right.
and you start seeing, okay, which is the high priority things that I need to do, which are the ones that I can leave out, and you manage or work with each building in itself,
Right.
solving the problem कि वो हो गया है, okay, out, done, next. So that kind of helped me in terms of finding solutions and for so many problems all at the same time, because I was like, it was like my house was on fire, every room
Yeah.
was on fire, which one do you save?
Completely. You're just
Right.
like literally firefighting on a daily basis.
I was
With
firefighting
work and with,
all
yeah,
the
with
time.
everything. Yeah.
So I realized that doing this was able to keep me clear
Above
कि
board.
अच्छा आज ये करना है,
Yeah.
and it didn't become overwhelming. Like you
Right.
are overwhelmed, but it's another thing to I was not so overwhelmed because I was finding solutions to everything and saying, "Nikal, okay, this is done, up left." Now, through this, what I realized, the most important one is actually the submerged part of the iceberg. That's you,
You.
you know. And for me, I said the only way I can make it through this time is if I sit down and see what am I about. You
And
literally
start to
sit
look
down and see
inwards and yeah.
yourself.
Yeah.
You see yourself inwards. So, what I realized that the core thing that you need to actually, the main foundation is your character, integrity, courage, and your mindset. These four things you've got to figure out. And you've got to be very real with yourself. And remember, there is nothing that you cannot change or you cannot learn. But first, you have to say, okay, hai kya main andar se?
Right. You have to
Without all the
first,
bullshit.
yeah, exactly. You have to first
You know,
recognize and become aware of who you are, where
you
you
got to
want to
know,
go.
acha, what is my strength? If I
Yes.
don't have courage and I want to do it, what do I need to build on? I need to have a growth mindset. I cannot have a mixed fixed mindset, or to realize that the people with a fixed mindset will not be able to help me.
Yes.
What kind of character I have. To really, really be very truthful and honest with yourself. And then the next line comes, the next circle comes, which is about, trust. Do you trust yourself to do this? About honesty, about determination, about grit. So, like this, you start with the inner circle and be honest and start understanding yourself. Okay, when I'm weak, I can use this instead to lift me up and get there because I've got to get it done. So, doing those sort of things and really I spend a lot of time being very observant and actually seeing who I am for what I am and what I need to build and what do I need to scrap out. It was
And you
very
did this
important to
without
do that.
any professional help, no counselor. You just did this by
Nothing,
yourself.
just by myself.
That's really
Because I
inspirational,
said I want to
honestly.
succeed. I don't want to live a life of mediocrity of the mind either. I did not want to live a victim life. I did not want everybody else saying, "Acha, ab aise hi hota hai."
And
It was
and I
not
remember you were
satisfactory
so
for me.
particular that I have to make it for my kids. My kids have to see that success, and they
Yeah,
have to have that thing to carry on dreaming and
yeah,
hoping. And I
yeah.
really, I mean, like you're like their beacon of hope, honestly. And I think
I
that is
think
why.
a lot of it was affected because Pankaj was like that. You know, I saw a reality which was different from, it's like being in a YA, I saw this people, everybody, 90% of them saying this. And I saw him amongst this 10%, and this was a reality too. And I said, well, our reality is what we make it. And we did not want to build this kind of reality. We wanted to build this. So he
Right.
was, as a foundation from my parents also, especially my father and him, it just became that this is also a reality. So why don't I give this instead to the children? So
Yeah.
I was not teaching them about culture. I was not teaching them about religion. I was not teaching about any of that. I said, it does not matter. We wanted that we want to build them like this because this is also a reality. It's not a dream.
Right.
And then, of course, having Sameza's dream where it was, he wanted to give something people better. And I just said, just because he's not here does not mean उनका सपना पूरा नहीं हो सकता ना मैं कर लूंगी ठीक
No,
है
but that's
अगर 10 काम
amazing.
में 200 काम करने
You
पड़ेंगे तो
know,
let's do it.
you don't realize the amount of really, I mean, this inner strength and this grit, and really, I mean, Icha saying awesome, so much to learn from you in the comments. It is so true that
It
there's
is.
so much to learn from you. And I don't know why some of this also has to happen when you're hit with a personal loss. I mean, there's so much to learn even
Yeah, yeah,
otherwise. It's amazing.
yeah.
And also, I know you took to poetry. So was that something that you also discovered during this whole mode of self, sort of discovery? Did that
You
help
know,
you and give you solace?
what happened is I was feeling acha. There was two parts of me. One which was absolutely on fire. I mean, I
Yeah.
found my fire in Sameza. I
This,
really did.
yeah.
And the second half of me, which was in absolute silence. When you know what is there and you just become very quiet inside
Yeah. Yeah.
because there's no answer. So I would say, okay, sometimes I would write. I had a book where I would write to him or whatever feelings.
Yes.
And then everybody would tell me, Bubbly, you're speaking, why don't you put it on paper? And I could never have imagined that Bubbly Bhasin will ever, मतलब English में
Start writing.
35 आ जाए, I'd be like happier कि ठीक है यार pass हो गई. So that was not something that I said, no, I don't think I can do it. And then one day what happened is that I used to see a lot of these Pakistani plays, enjoy reading poetry. One day I said, what the hell यार लिख के एक दो लाइन कर देते हैं नहीं होगा तो ना सही. And from there, Gitika, it just
It
started
just,
coming out.
yeah,
You know,
I think all your
so
emotions bottled up basically just came out.
they just started coming out, and I just loved it because he used to love poetry. He used to speak in Urdu as well. I never used to understand anything. So now I said, "Chal, ऊपर मरूंगी तो I can say कि ये लो मैं भी कर लिया." So it was something like that. Then he had a dream about writing a book. So now I am in the works of writing a book. So the funny thing is, once you understand yourself, you realize that there is nothing that you cannot do. And when you
Your
see
own
that
potential.
excitement,
You
that there
wake
is
up your
so
own
much,
potential.
you waking up your own potential, कि आप ना you get into a very different framework. आपको लगता है साला ये भी कर सकती हूँ या try करने में क्या हर्ज है, and you start seeing a very different phase of yourself,
Of yourself.
which is so exciting that really, you light up your own fire and you find your own royalty. It's all in you. But वो जब करने लग जाओ ना, it becomes such a beautiful addiction that you realize that, my God, all this thing that people are saying that you can become unstoppable, that there is, you can do it all. It actually started happening. I mean, even with Sameza winning we won the Oscars for the food and wine industry in the world, which is called the Great
Wow.
Taste.
Right.
That's happened in a running year, coming with Michelin Guide getting us, Kevin
Fantastic.
Harrington,
That's
you know.
amazing.
So it was just about saying that let's give it a shot.
And really
and
wonderful
I
work.
mean, Sameza is just like my little child. People keep thinking business is business, but actually, you should get personal, because if you get personal, it's like, it's like a bacha. What are you going to build in this bacha? It's your bacha.
Yeah.
You get to decide whatever you want. And I actually got into this mode where I said, listen, I'm going to do what I want to do. This is what I want people, this is what they're going to see about us as a family. So I was really not doing the typical things, Gitika. I
Yeah.
just decided this is one life. Why don't I discover? Nahi hoega to nahi hoega. But even then, we can find another way. So
Yes.
I just went on a very different mode of finding solutions in my life. And what do I want to stand for? What does Sameza want to stand for? It has to be a company of character, not
Right.
just ki aap sirf chawal bech rahe ho. So
Right.
it was a lot more than
Than
just
just
being
a
a
brand of
company.
rice. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, and
yeah,
tell me one more thing. I mean, of course, you've already spoken so much about it. In terms of children now, I mean, obviously, when they see you like this, that is going to be their biggest sort of reservoir, their biggest, well to draw that strength
absolutely.
and that hope from. But of course, there must be still moments where, you have three children, their future to think about. They must be also having those sort of fears and, uncertainty. So, to other moms who might be watching this, who might be in a similar situation, what would you like to tell them? Because we're already like 50 minutes, so maybe
Oh,
that, and then if there are any questions, we
I
can
think the
ask.
last thing I would like to leave you with
Yeah.
is that, when you have your children, don't try and break the bridge of adulthood and children as close as possible. So, like what I did was, I would tell the children, I said, actually, I'm just like you going to school, because I'm also having a start. I don't know anything, and I had to self school myself. So when they saw that mama's also learning everything, she doesn't know. So they would actually come and say, Mom, why don't you do this? Or how about this? So what we realized, we actually came onto the same level. And that is why it was so easy for them to relate to me when I was frustrated, or when I was thinking, or when
Learning
I
new
needed some
aspects of it
help
as
or
well. Yeah.
learning. So they realized ki ye to hum bhi this is the something we can also do.
Right.
And they started actually doing that in their life, especially with
Okay.
work. And that's when I saw it again, Gitika, that there is, I love to talk about mindset and videos and all. And there was this one time where Sana was really struggling with school, and by the end of the term she was getting A's. So I was asking her, what did you just do? I said, listen, I never pressurized you. So she says, Mama, all those things that you would keep saying, there's this one day where it really hit me, and I just decided to go for it.
So
So
that's it.
you
She just changed her mindset. That's
she
it.
just And that's exactly what happened when, like I said, when Pankaj would talk, it just started coming. So our conversations at the table, we never had this, how are you, how was school? I would say, today you've gone to school, you've got to come back and tell me something you've learned, or something you observed, or something you didn't like. So I started changing the conversation, where it was subtly done in terms of a mindset building, rather than all the other stuff that was happening, which
Yes.
made our conversations on the table so much more interesting.
And you continued
So
that
it's
practice,
those,
of course.
we just continued the practice. So
And
if there was a seminar, I would just have the kids listen. Ki, you don't have to sit with me. Why don't you just hear me out? As long as he can speak English, you can understand it. That's all that is required. So they started seeing that you can actually manage in a pretty decent way. It doesn't have to be in the way that you've always done. And
right.
for us, it just became a why not. Who said ki ye likha hai? Who said
Yeah.
ye karna hai? So we got into a very different mindset, and it became so much fun. And it just again started building, it just worked on all aspects of our life.
And I think for them, resilience is something you don't even need to teach them because they're watching it live every
Oh,
day in their
yeah.
lives, and they know that
Huh.
you had something, such a big thing happen, and yet you do find hope and you can move on, and they've done it on a daily
Huh.
basis. So I don't think it's anything that you need to actually
Huh. So I mean,
teach
it's
them. You
like,
just need
you
to
don't
show
need to
it.
give them gyan.
Yeah,
You
that's the
just
thing.
need
You
to
just need to
show them, and
show
they're
it.
going to learn it.
Yeah.
And they'll start putting it in some way or the other, somewhere or the other,
Yeah.
and that's what is needed.
And I'm sure your circle also, you had very supportive family. Your brother, who lives close to you and has been very, very supportive. So I think that tight circle of support is also very important. I'm sure you'll agree at times
You
like
know,
this.
more than that, like I said, the tight circle is very important. But don't, I got,
Don't count on it.
don't count
Yes,
on it.
yeah, I know.
I think
Yeah.
the best thing is to be dependent on yourself. I used to take it as Gitika ki agar mil gaya na, so I take it as a bonus. That way you don't feel bad.
Yeah. And if you
You
can't,
know,
you can't, you'll try again. But not everybody
you'll
has
just
that
try
attitude.
again.
It's amazing you do have it. Yeah.
हाँ मतलब that's what I said कि if you can अगर मिल गया तो bonus है नहीं मिला है तो leave it whatever
Yeah.
you don't feel bad you otherwise when you start feeling bad कि नहीं आए ये वो है फिर then you're back you're it's like being in a well
Yeah.
right and you're
You
trying
won't be,
to
yeah.
get up if you have to do this that if you start getting into all that then you're going down again then again utna to hai hi hai so you
Right.
might as well just leave it chuck it and move on and climb up to get out of it again.
I think that's really, really amazing and a very, very good note to end on, a very positive note because, like I see anything that sort of brings you down, your attitude is that I have to rise above. So it's never
हाँ
you've just
एक
made that
जिंदगी
part of
है
who you are.
one life be who you want to be yaar.
Yeah.
Who cares whether somebody likes it or not or whatever really live it up be alive you'll feel alive
That
it
is
is
the
the
thing
most amazing
that
feeling.
that is so amazing to see you that you've kept that spark, that zest for life, that sort of spunk, that spirit which is you. I think so many people could really, really learn so much from you, and I hope a lot of people see this chat because I think you're truly, truly amazing and inspirational, and your kids and you're all so lucky to have each other.
Thank you so much. So
Thank
lovely to be
you.
here and be amongst everyone. I couldn't see anybody, but I'll definitely look at this video again. And it's been lovely. I would love to see all these people rise, and I know it's possible, and it's not rocket science.
Absolutely. So that's a really wonderful positive note. And on that note, thank you so much once again, and
Thank you, Gitika, for having me.
have a great weekend.
You
And thank
too.
you all of you who are
All of you.
watching. Thank you
Yes,
so
all
much.
of you. Thank you so much. Bye
Thanks.
bye.
Okay. Bye. Bye.